We kick off the show with the issue of child abuse. Now, as we all know, the school environment is where students spend most of their time. In the process, they get influenced either positively or negatively by their peers. For this reason, the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, in collaboration with the Office of Education Quality Assurance, has engaged administrators and heads of schools across the 6 education districts in the state on child protection policy and domestic and sexual violence. Take a look.
We expect you to show love.
Administrators, heads of schools across the 6 districts in Lagos State are gathered at the Adeyemi Bero Hall, Alausa, on how to protect children from all forms of abuse.
What are you doing to protect that child being neglected even from home by the parents?
It is an initiative put together by the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency in collaboration with the Office of Education Quality Assurance.
You work in a public school, you cannot employ your staff, can you? It is the commission that employs your staff. But even at that, as the head of the school, you have the responsibility to ensure that all your staff adopt this and sign up to abide by it.
The Executive Secretary of Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency says the exercise will broaden the tutor's knowledge.
This policy has been in existence since 2016, but when we did a recent survey, we found out that the majority of our child-centered institutions, particularly schools, are not aware of the policy. So how can we enforce something people are not aware of? And that is what inspired this gathering. We've done this for the Education District 6, District 1, District 2, and this is District 3, I believe. So we have 4 and 5 left. And this is going up this for all public and private schools. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot continue the way we are behaving at the moment. I don't know if you are aware, but last week, a 5-year-old boy drowned in a swimming pool. The swimming pool was supposed to be learning how to swim, and he drowned. Apparently, he was underwater for 30 minutes. Nobody knew he was underwater. We believe very strongly that that was a preventable death. If safety, safeguarding, and child protection measures were in place and enforced the letter. Just this week, we heard of another boy, 12-year-old, I believe, that died after he was allegedly flogged by the teacher. He vomited and then he passed on. We cannot continue like this. We cannot. And so that's why we're doing this, so that it will not be said, I did not know. Although ignorance of the law is not an excuse, but as government, it's important that we empower you with information, and then you go back and replicate it in your schools. So after now, we're coming for our monitoring and evaluation exercises. We expect that when we come to your school, you would have adopted a safeguarding and child protection policy nuanced to your own institution. We expect that as principals and heads of schools, you would have designated a safeguarding officer that will be in charge of ensuring full implementation of this policy. We expect that posters we will distribute today will be pasted in conspicuous places in your institution. Please let this not be another talk show or another talk shop or another talking event, because our children's lives are in jeopardy. And it's very ironic because it is one of the places where children are supposed to be safe is in the school. And if children are not safe in the school, then there is a problem.
Some of the teachers expressed their views about the burning issue.
We are meant to have officers in place that will help to oversee the issue of child protection within our school and in the other organization, and to be able to report such to the appropriate quarter as at when due, so as for this appropriate quarter, all the professionals in the field to take it up where it requires medication for them to do that, and a situation that requires police maybe coming to do investigation and also taking the matter up to the appropriate quarter, they will as well do the same.
schools are not the judge for any child molestation. If anything happens, if there is any occurrence, the school is to get a referral form you fill and then invite the ministry. We have a unit that will always look into that. So your own is to open up. Don't keep it to yourself. Even if it is what you suspect, if you have suspected anything, don't just say, oh, it is a mere suspect that you don't have any concrete evidence. You must open up. It will be investigated, and if there is no reason for anybody to be harassed, then the case will just die. But if there is, you never can tell. Maybe there are things that are really happening. Once you raise that, then the right unit will come up and start the investigation. Before you know it, things will be exposed. We've been told that we don't even need to actually know that something is happening. The moment we are suspecting, we should go to action. It's not in our own to start investigating. Ours is to just suspect, oh, this child is going through this. Is it sexual abuse? Is it physical abuse? Whatever. We need to take action immediately by informing the appropriate authorities so that it can be taken over from there right away. It's other people's responsibilities to make the investigation, to prove it, and to go beyond helping the child so that that child is not maimed for life, is not hurt, psychologically damaged or something. So our own role here is so important because we are the first responder.
The Director General, Office of Education Quality Assurance, says they are ready to support the cause that will protect children in Lagos.
Oftentimes we think of it as something that is separate from the work that we do, separate from education, separate from teaching and learning. It's an add-on, almost like how some people would see extracurricular activities. But in fact, safeguarding and child protection is at the core of learning. There's no way children are going to be able to be productive. There's no way teachers are going to be able to do their jobs effectively when there are inadequate systems, processes, procedures, protocols to ensure safety and child protection. I think in our roles here that we play at the ministry, we've seen it more than others. We've seen it more now than before. It becomes very obvious, very pertinent that we do our jobs meticulously. Because guess what? All it takes is one mistake for a child to be raped. All it takes is one mistake for a child to end up dead. And that is very important. It doesn't happen by chance. It's not something that other countries just know. People are crazy everywhere, right? Children are children everywhere. So what is the difference? On one end, it is having these things in place. Another end is keeping to those standards. We, as educators, must take a stand and say, you know what, the buck stops with me. You need to make that decision. If you don't make that decision, you may find yourself where you don't want to be. Because guess what? When children are in your care and they have been abused or neglected, negligence, you will be held accountable.
The program, which drew over 600 participants from public, private, primary and secondary schools in Lagos, will no doubt go a long way in safeguarding pupils from domestic and sexual abuse.